Welcome to today's journey of transformation. In this episode, we dive deep into atomic habits, the small, simple actions that can create extraordinary changes in your life. You don't need massive goals to change your future. You need better habits. Today, let's explore the powerful wisdom of atomic habits and how tiny steps can lead to big victories.
Have you ever looked at someone seemingly crushing their goals year after year? Well, your own resolutions kind of gather dust.
Happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into some really insightful source material from Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a book that honestly promises a shortcut to understanding consistent self-improvement. Our mission here is to explore the surprising science behind why tiny, seemingly insignificant changes can lead to monumental results. And crucially, how we can apply these principles ourselves, build better habits in our own lives.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, about this material is how it subtly shifts our entire perspective. We're often, conditioned to think in terms of these grand transformations.
Big leaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Atomic Habits guides us towards the power of the atomic, these extremely small foundational units of any larger system. So we'll be connecting the dots between those minor daily choices and the overarching trajectory of our lives, highlighting not just what specific actions to take, but why these seemingly simple behaviors hold such profound implications.
What immediately struck me reading this is how it opens with James Clear's own story, which is incredible.
It really is.
He went from this devastating baseball bat injury, multiple skull fractures, a coma, to being named a top male athlete and academic All-American in college.
Yeah.
It sounds, miraculous, a huge turnaround. But the book suggests it was built on something much, much smaller, not some single heroic act.
Indeed. And that personal narrative, it's the perfect setup for the core principle, the aggregation of marginal gains.
Marginal gains, okay.
Think of Sir Dave Brailsford and the British cycling team. For, nearly a century, British riders were largely unsuccessful. Just one Olympic gold since 1908, I think.
Wow.
Brailsford's strategy wasn't about finding one superstar.
Yeah.
It was seeking a tiny 1% improvement in everything.
Everything, like what?
Well, from the nutrition, the ergonomics of the bike seats, the type of massage gel they used, even the pillows they chose for better sleep. Tiny things.
Pillows?
And the result, within a decade, they became dominant. Went from almost 0 Olympic medals and no Tour de France wins to multiple championships.
That's incredible. From pillows?
Well, pillows and everything else.
Right.
The core takeaway is that massive success often isn't about one massive action, but this accumulation of minor, thoughtful adjustments.
So what does this actually mean for us, beyond elite athletes? The math he lays out is just astounding.
It really is.
If you can get just 1% better each day for a year, you end up, get this, 37 times better than when you started.
37 times.
Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, you decline pretty much down to 0. It's not about huge leaps, it's the cumulative effect. Those small, consistent choices compounding.
Right. And this raises a really important question for everyone listening.
Right.
Are we focusing on our current results or our current trajectory?
Results versus trajectory.
Think about it. Your net worth, that's a lagging measure of your financial habits.
Oh, yeah.
Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge, a lagging measure of your learning habits.
Right. It reflects the past.
Exactly. The material emphasizes that true success isn't about some once-in-a-lifetime transformation. It's the product of those daily habits. It's about the direction you're consistently heading, not just where you are right now.
Okay, if these small changes are so powerful and the math seems so clear, why do so many of us still feel like we're just spinning our wheels?
Oh, yes.
We've all done it, right? Started a new routine, stuck with it for a bit, maybe a few weeks, a month, and then stopped because we didn't see immediate results. We think, I've been running every day for a month, why don't I look different? Or why isn't this easier yet?
Right. And the book uses this brilliant analogy to explain that feeling. He calls it the valley of disappointment.
The valley of disappointment.
It's perfectly illustrated with the plateau of latent potential and this ice cube analogy. Imagine a cold room, say 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, freezing.
Right. It heats up slowly. 26 degrees, 27, 28. And the ice cube, it's still just sitting there. An ice cube.
Nothing's happening.
Visibly, no.
Yeah.
But then you hit 32 degrees and boom, it melts.
Right, the melting point.
Exactly. All that work, that gradual increase in temperature from 25 up to 31 degrees, it wasn't wasted. It was being stored, like potential energy.
Ah, okay.
People often call breakthroughs overnight successes, don't they?
Yeah.
But they only see the sudden melting, not the slow incremental warming that came before it.
So all the effort was doing something just invisibly?
Precisely. The critical insight here is that your effort isn't just vanishing into thin air. It's accumulating beneath the surface, waiting to break through that plateau.
It's like geological pressure building up before an earthquake, maybe. All that hidden work. So you're saying if you're struggling, it's often because you haven't crossed this threshold yet, not because you're incapable.
That's a huge part of it. Yes, your effort is being stored, waiting to unlock that next level of performance.
So what does the book suggest then to help people stick with it when they're in that valley, when the results aren't visible yet?
Well, a big part is understanding this dynamic first half. But then it suggests shifting focus away from the immediate result and onto the process itself.
The process, okay.
If you understand that effort compounds like interest, you can trust the system. You can avoid getting bogged down in that valley of disappointment and just keep showing up. It's about building a reliable system, not just pinning all your hopes on one specific outcome.
Right, focusing on the system. And speaking of systems, this next point, it really challenges a common assumption, something almost everyone lives by: setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
The book suggests that focusing too much on goals can actually be, well, problematic. Why would that be? Isn't having a clear target what drives us?
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Goals are useful for direction, absolutely. But focusing only on them presents a few issues.
Like what?
Firstly, achieving a goal is often just a momentary change. Think about cleaning a messy room.
Okay, done it. Feels good for a minute.
Right. But it's temporary if the underlying sloppy habits persist. You're left chasing the same outcome again and again without addressing the system that created the mess in the first place.
You're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Exactly. Secondly, a goals-first mentality can actually restrict happiness. You're constantly pushing satisfaction off until the next milestone.
I'll be happy when?
Precisely. When I lose 10 pounds, when I get the promotion, it can lead to this either-or conflict. You're only successful if you hit that one specific scenario, and you feel like a failure if you don't, neglecting all the progress you might have made along the way.
So are goals useless then? Or is it more about how we use them? The book suggests asking who I wish to become instead of just what I want to achieve.
That's the core shift.
It's a profound reframe, but honestly, it can also feel a bit abstract for some people. How does the book guide someone to practically define that desired identity? And maybe more importantly, how do you measure progress if there isn't a clear outcome goal like lose 10 pounds?
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
And the book emphasizes that true behavior change is identity change.
Okay.
Think about it. If you're proud of how your hair looks, you'll naturally develop habits to care for it. If you identify as a reader, you'll read.
It becomes part of who you are.
Exactly. Every action you take is like a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So instead of a rigid measurement against a future goal, progress is measured by the consistency of those small votes.
Ah, the actions themselves are the proof.
Right. The identity emerges from the proof of those actions day in, day out. By falling in love with the process, the system, rather than just the product, you find satisfaction anytime your system is running, not just at the finish line.
Okay, that makes sense. Satisfaction in the doing, not just the achieving.
And that's what ensures long-term consistency and really reinforces the identity you're building.
So understanding why small changes matter and what to focus on identity and systems, that's great. But how do habits actually work on a brain level?
Yeah, the mechanic of it.
The book breaks it down into a 4-step feedback loop, something apparently running in our brains all the time.
This is the habit loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward.
The cue is the trigger. It tells your brain to initiate a behavior because it predicts a reward.
Right.
Could be obvious, like seeing a cookie on the counter, or subtle, like a feeling of stress or boredom.
Right.
Then comes the craving. This is the motivational force, the desire for that reward, for the change in state the reward brings.
The wanting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's truly fascinating here, maybe even counterintuitive, is dopamine. We think of it as the pleasure chemical.
Yeah, the reward itself.
But research shows dopamine spikes primarily in anticipation of the reward, not just when we get it. So our brains are hardwired to want much more intensely than they are to like.
Whoa. Okay, that's a big insight. The wanting drives the action more than the liking.
It seems so. That craving phase is where the real engine is. If you can understand and maybe even hack the craving, you're halfway there.
So we're wired to desire more than to enjoy the thing itself? Wild. Then comes the response. That's the actual habit, the action or thought.
Correct.
And finally, the reward, which satisfies the craving and, crucially, teaches your brain, hey, that cue, do this response again, it worked out.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It closes the loop and makes the habit more automatic next time. It's a continuous cycle, always running.
Always running.
And this process can be incredibly useful, right?
Yeah.
Habits reduce cognitive load. They free up our conscious attention for other things.
Sure, like driving a car. You don't think about every little step after a while.
Exactly. But it can also be dangerous. Because those cues can be subconscious, non-conscious even, we often fall into old patterns before we even realize what's happening.
Uh-oh.
As the psychologist Carl Jung noted, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Wow. Okay, so if you don't understand the hidden drivers, you're not really in control. You're just reacting.
Pretty much. Making that loop conscious is the absolute first step to truly changing it.
Okay, so once we understand this loop cue, craving, response, reward,
Yeah.
how do we actually use it? How do we build the good habits, break the bad ones? The book gives us 4 laws, right? Starting with make it obvious,
That's the first law.
which sounds almost too simple.
It does, but it's foundational. To make it obvious, you first need awareness. The book suggests something called a habit scorecard.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, you just list out your daily habits, waking up, checking your phone, brushing your teeth, making coffee, and become aware of them. You note if they're positive, negative, or neutral for your goals. Just seeing them written down is powerful.
Just acknowledging them.
Yeah. Then there are strategies like pointing and calling, used by Japanese railway conductors. They actually point at signals and call out the status, like signal is green.
They say it out loud.
Yep. It makes a non-conscious habit conscious. You could apply this yourself. Say you reach for a cookie. You could say aloud, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will cause me to gain weight and hurt my health.
Huh. That makes the consequences way more real in the moment, less automatic.
Exactly. It forces a moment of conscious choice. The core idea isn't just about willpower. It's designing your world. So good habits are almost inevitable. And the downsides of bad ones are harder to ignore.
And that ties into environment design too, right? Like place your guitar in the middle of the living room if you want to practice more.
Precisely. Or if you want to remember your medication, put the bottle right next to the faucet on the bathroom counter. Make the cue impossible to miss.
Easy to spot.
Absolutely.
For
Think
sure.
about the Schiphol Airport urinal fly sticker. Just a tiny image of a fly near the drain.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It reduced cleaning costs by 8% because it gave men something to aim for. A simple visual cue changed behavior significantly. Also, consider the context is the cue principle. It's often easier to change habits in a new environment because you don't have the old cues triggering you.
Right, like trying to study in the same spot you watch TV. Hard.
Very hard. Or you can create one space, one use in your current environment. Bed is only for sleep. Desk is only for work. Separate the contexts.
Okay, makes sense. Make the cues for good habits obvious. Make the cues for bad habits invisible or hard to act on. Got it. So the second law is make it attractive. The book suggests temptation bundling. Now, this sounds fun. How does that work? Can you give an example?
It is pretty clever. You essentially pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do.
Okay.
There was this engineering student in Dublin, Ronan Byrne. He loved watching Netflix, but knew he should exercise more.
Relatable.
So he hacked his stationary bike. He hooked it up so Netflix would only play if he was cycling above a certain speed.
No way.
Yeah. If he slowed down, the show paused. He bundled the temptation, Netflix, with the necessary habit, exercise.
That's genius. So the formula is something like,
After current habit I already do, I will habit I need. After habit I need, I will habit I want.
linking it together.
It creates a sort of supernormal stimulus, making the needed habit more appealing by associating it directly with something you already find highly rewarding.
Yeah.
You're anticipating the want while doing the need.
Okay, I like that. And we're social creatures, right? Herd animals. So social norms must play a big role in what we find attractive.
Huge role. We tend to imitate the habits of 3 groups in particular: the close, family, friends, the many, the tribe, the culture, and the powerful, those with status and prestige.
Right.
So joining a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior, like joining a running club if you want to run, makes that habit inherently more attractive.
Because everyone else is doing it. It feels normal, expected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if the behavior earns you respect and status within that group. Conversely, our modern world bombards us with supernormal stimuli, exaggerated versions of reality, like junk food engineered to be hyper-palatable, or social media delivering way more likes and social validation cues than we typically get in real life. These make certain habits incredibly attractive, even if they're not actually good for us long term.
So our environment, both physical and social, really shapes what we even want to do.
It dictates so much of what we find attractive and therefore which habits we pursue. That's a key insight.
Okay, so we've made it obvious, made it attractive. Law number 3 is make it easy. This feels like it taps right into basic human laziness. I mean, efficiency.
Exactly. It connects directly to the law of least effort. We naturally gravitate toward the option requiring the least amount of work. It's just how we're wired.
Makes sense evolutionarily, conserve energy.
Precisely. The book notes how agriculture spread much faster east-west across continents than north-south. Why? Because climates are more similar along lines of latitude, making it easier to adapt crops and farming techniques. Less effort required.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
So for us, it means reducing the friction associated with good behaviors, make them easier to do.
Like choosing a gym that's literally on your commute home.
Perfect example. Or using technology to automate things like saving money or paying bills, remove the decision points, reduce the steps.
The book mentions Japanese manufacturers and addition by subtraction.
Yes, they dramatically improve production, not by adding more resources, but by relentlessly eliminating wasted effort, wasted movement, wasted time. Streamlining.
Removing friction achieves more with less effort.
That's the powerful takeaway. Often the most effective way to change behavior isn't about mustering more motivation. It's about removing the obstacles, making it the path of least resistance.
And priming the environment fits here too, right? Preparing your space for the next action.
Absolutely. It's about reducing friction in advance. That IT developer, Oswald Knuckles, who resets the room after each activity.
Right. Putting the remote away, folding the blanket.
He does it not just to be tidy, but to prepare the room for its next intended use. It makes future actions easier. Laying out your workout clothes the night before, chopping vegetables on Sunday for the week ahead.
Small things that make the actual doing easier later.
They're decisive moments. A small choice now sets the trajectory for the next chunk of time. And speaking of small, the 2-minute rule is huge here.
Yes, the 2-minute rule. Explain that.
The idea is, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Less than 2 minutes.
Yeah. So instead of read 30 minutes before bed, the habit is read 1 page. Instead of do 30 minutes of yoga, it's take out my yoga mat.
So just the very first step.
Exactly. It's not about the goal initially. It's about making the starting of the habit incredibly easy, almost mindless. The point is to master the art of showing up.
Because once you start, momentum often carries you further. Read 1 page, maybe you read 2 or 3. Take out the mat, maybe you do a few poses.
That's the idea. It's a secret weapon against procrastination because the initial barrier is so low.
Okay, love that. Make it easy. And finally, the 4th law, make it satisfying. This makes so much sense given what you said earlier about the brain wanting rewards.
It ties directly back to the reward part of the loop.
Yeah.
The cardinal rule of behavior change states, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided.
Immediate reward, immediate punishment.
Yes, our brains evolved in an immediate return environment. We prioritize immediate payoffs. The challenge is, many good habits have an immediate cost, effort, time, and a delayed reward. Better health, more knowledge.
While bad habits are often the opposite, immediate pleasure, delayed cost.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the mismatch. So we need to find ways to inject immediate satisfaction into our good habits.
Like that example from Karachi with the soap.
Stephen Luby's work, yes. Hand washing is crucial for health. People knew that, but weren't consistent.
Yeah.
He worked with Procter & Gamble to provide Safeguard soap, which smelled nice and lathered well.
So the act of washing became more pleasant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It made the behavior immediately more satisfying.
Yeah.
Adoption rates soared. The key insight is you need to find a way to make the doing of the habit feel good right away, not just wait for the long-term outcome.
So we need to add some kind of immediate pleasure or marker of success to long-term habits, like the idea of creating a specific savings account, say a trip to Europe,
Mhm.
And every time you skip eating out or buying that coffee, you immediately transfer $10 or $50 into that account.
Perfect. You see the balance grow immediately. That's satisfying. It reinforces the good habit right then and there.
And habit tracking fits here too, right? Just marking an X on a calendar.
Absolutely. It's surprisingly powerful. Ticking that box, seeing the chain grow,
Yeah.
it provides visual proof of progress. It feels good, reinforces your identity as someone who follows through. It's a delightful little hit of immediate, intrinsic gratification.
Okay. And to break bad habits, we just invert this law, make it unsatisfying.
Exactly. You want to introduce an immediate cost to the undesirable action. This is where things like an accountability partner come in.
Someone watching you.
Someone you report to, yeah. Or even better, a habit contract.
Yeah?
You create stakes.
Stakes. Like what?
Brian Harris, an entrepreneur, made a contract with his wife and his trainer. If he failed to meet his weight loss process goals like tracking his food, he'd have to dress up in specific clothes he hated every workday morning and pay his trainer $200.
Ouch. Public and painful.
Right. It made the cost of not doing the habit immediate and undesirable. Knowing someone else is watching or that there's a tangible, immediate penalty for inaction can be a powerful motivator.
Okay, so those are the 4 laws. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. That gives us a really solid foundation for building habits. But how do we sustain this? How do we go from good to, genuinely great? The book talks about the Goldilocks rule.
Right. Once you have the basics down, how do you keep progressing and stay motivated long term? The Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities.
Not too hard, not too easy, just right.
Exactly. Just like Goldilocks porridge. If a task is too easy, you get bored. If it's too hard, you get discouraged. You need tasks that stretch you just enough.
Can you give an example?
Steve Martin's comedy career is a good one. He didn't start out doing hour-long specials. He continually tested new material, expanding his routine by just a minute or two at a time.
Ah, incremental challenges.
Right. It ensured he had enough small victories to stay motivated, but also enough mistakes or areas needing improvement to keep working hard. It kept him in that optimal zone of desirable difficulty. In psychology, it relates to the Yerkes-Dodson law of performance peaks at a certain level of arousal or challenge.
Okay, find that sweet spot of challenge to stay engaged. Makes sense. But even then, even if the challenge is right, things can just get, boring, doing the same thing over and over. And the book points out something crucial. Boredom might be the greatest villain when it comes to self-improvement. Maybe even more so than failure.
This is such a critical insight, and maybe one of the hardest to swallow. Can you fall in love with boredom?
Fall in love with boredom? That sounds difficult.
It does. But think about it. A weightlifting coach once told the author, the difference between the best athletes and everyone else often comes down to who can handle the boredom of training every day, doing the same lifts over and over and over again.
Showing up when it's not new and exciting anymore.
Precisely. Successful people in any field find a way to show up even when the mood isn't right, even when they lack motivation. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way.
Wow.
It's not just about having the best tools or strategies. It's about cultivating that internal resilience, that discipline to endure the grind, to show up even when especially when it feels mundane.
So mastery isn't always glamorous. It's often just consistent repetition, even when it's boring.
That's a huge part of it. Consistency is key,
Yeah.
and consistency often means embracing the mundane, finding satisfaction in the process itself, remember.
Right, the system. But doesn't just repeating things automatically lead to plateaus too? Like you stop improving?
That's the potential downside, yes. Habits make things automatic, which is great for efficiency. But it can lead to mindless repetition, where you stop paying attention. You stop noticing small errors or opportunities for that 1% improvement.
You assume you're getting better just because you're doing it.
Exactly. So to truly maximize potential, the book suggests you need a combination of automatic habits and continuous reflection and review. You need to deliberately practice, not just practice.
Reflection and review.
How? Think about how elite sports teams analyze game film. The Lakers, for instance, use Magic Johnson's CBE, comprehensive basketball efficiency, which tracked not just points and rebounds, but turnovers, mistakes, positive plays. It allowed them to track incremental improvements constantly.
So they were actively looking for those small gains even within their established routines.
Yes, it prevents complacency. It keeps you engaged in finding those tiny improvements, even within habits that have become largely automatic. It's habits plus deliberate attention.
What an incredible deep dive. Seriously, looking at the architecture of our daily lives like this, it's powerful.
It really is.
From James Clear's own journey, that injury, to the British cycling team mastering marginal gains, the message seems so clear. The compound effect of these tiny atomic habits can genuinely reshape our future.
Absolutely. We see how understanding that habit loop cue, craving, response, reward, and then using the 4 laws, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying, can be total game changers.
Right. Designing our environment, bundling temptations, lowering friction, finding immediate rewards.
And then layering on that need to embrace challenges that are just right, the Goldilocks zone, and maybe toughest of all, mastering boredom to sustain growth long term, avoiding that plateau of latent potential becoming a permanent wall.
It really makes you think completely differently about all those small, seemingly insignificant choices we make every single day. They're not just choices, are they?
No, they're not. They're powerful votes.
Votes for who we're becoming, minute by minute, day by day.
Indeed. Your habits are votes for your future self. But, sometimes the most powerful vote isn't cast when things are easy. It's cast when you're least inclined to do it, when you feel that resistance. Because that's when you reinforce not just the behavior, but the very identity you aspire to embody. It's in those moments of internal struggle, pushing through the boredom or discomfort, that your commitment is truly forged. So I guess the question for you listening is, what small atomic vote will you cast for your future self today?
A powerful thought to end on. Until next time, keep those atomic habits flowing.
Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens daily. Through the choices you make, your future self is created by what you do today. Remember, small habits build great futures. Keep practicing, keep improving, and let each step move you closer to the life you desire. Thank you for listening, and may your next habit be the one that changes everything. Until next time, stay consistent, stay powerful.